All right, everybody, welcome to our Monday Team Zoom. I'm super stoked to be leading the call. It's been a while. I'm happy to be back in the saddle, no pun intended, for the call today. We have an incredible guest on our call today. I met her at the Elite Retreat. One of my favorite things about the events, and especially the smaller events, is you get to meet people and have more one-on-one time and really hear people's stories and do fun things with them. And we had a lot of fun. As a lot of you know, you saw some of my posts and heard some of my stories about Scottsdale. It was definitely what I needed to fill up my tank and fill my cup. So Loralei and I and Chris Michaels and Sam and Bandy and Stephanie Mulder actually had dinner one night together. So I got to hear from her and her husband Garrett a little bit about their story and how they were able to build their business. And at the time I thought she was a Pro 7, and I guess that's something that I didn't ask her at the table. But then when I reached out to her about the call, she said, actually, I'm closer to Pro 9. So that to me is just so inspiring. She started literally about 2 years ago. November 2017 is when she started the business. Those of you who were at Long Beach, you probably remember the My Life Venture video that was shown with a very cute little pony, and it was her story. And she shared with me since then that was her daughter's pony, baby loving pony, but they've had to sell the pony because the pony loves babies and not so much little 4-year-olds. So pretty cute story there. And I'm not going to take up too much time because I know that she's going to really inspire us with the way that she built this business. And I'm just, I can't wait to hear more from her, because I think we all have a lot of friends that own horses. Sometimes it's a little bit tricky to cross into that field, if you feel more confident on the human side versus the animal side. So I think she's going to enlighten us about how much success she's had with her racehorses and some of the stories that she shared with me. So Loralei, I'm going to pass it on over to you, and thank you so much for being on our call. And just share your story, and we'll go from there. We'll open it up for some questions if anyone has questions, but we're really excited to hear from you. So I'm passing the torch over to you.
Thank you so much, Julie. And Rusty, thank you for getting us started tonight. It was a good time in Scottsdale. Very good time. Can't wait to spend Elite retreats with every single one of you guys there. That would be great. Okay, let's start this off. So first off, do me a favor, drop a 1 in the comments if any of you guys own horses. I want to see how many people of you guys own horses. Do that for me. A few of you do? Perfect. Awesome. Okay, drop a 2 if you guys know people that own horses. Got lots. I think that's like one of my dreams, is to like take my horse to Hawaii and ride him on the beach. That'd be awesome. Cool. Awesome. Okay. So you guys, when I started my business, I'm very passionate about horses, and I wasn't exactly passionate about network marketing, but I was passionate about horses, and I knew that we had an amazing product that needed to be shared. I think one of the number one things that we need to remember is horse people will do anything, and will spend anything for their horses. They will, if they have to starve if they can't have supper tonight because they need that money to feed their horses, they're going to feed their horses. So the horse market is actually, I honestly think, a whole lot easier than the human market. And when I think of like Julie and Chris and all those people that have grown into elite markets, Melody, you're a brand new elite, aren't we? No? Yes? Close.
Almost. She's close.
Awesome. Well, there you go. But to grow a market like that, not using animals, to me is like, wow, you guys are like insane. Like, you guys are awesome doing what you do. So this is what I want you guys to think about. what the product does for us, it does the exact same thing for an animal. And sometimes we get caught up in our head saying, I don't know a thing about a horse. I don't know a dog. I don't know a cat. I don't know what they eat. I don't know what they need in life. But you guys understand what the product does, right? Drop a 3 if you guys understand what the product does. Do that for me. Drop a 3. Or show me a 3. That works too. Awesome. Okay. So don't overthink it. Do you guys kind of get what I'm getting at here? When you go and approach somebody that has horses, just talk to them as if you were talking to them, if you were trying to sell the product to them as well. And explain to them what it can do for their horse. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. So my first thing when I jumped into this was I knew that I needed to inspire horse people. So I created a brand. I created NRF2 Equine. And I didn't promote as Pro Tandem or Life Vantage. Sometimes those things scare people away. So I created a brand around horses. Then that's how I got the attention of the horse people. Then the biggest thing was my story. People knew my horse. I'm going to tell you guys my story if you haven't heard it. I bought my mare. She was 4 years old, and I started her on barrel racing. By the time she was 5, she started not wanting to go in the arena. She was running up the fence. She didn't want to turn. She was a complete basket case. She was psycho. She bucked me off every chance she had. She was a mess. So then I find out that she was very, very lame, that she had issues. And I didn't really know it because she wasn't noticeably lame, but she was sore. So then I started trying to do injections. I was using drugs from the vet clinics. I was using chiropractic. I was using supplements. I was using everything I could think of to try to get my horse sound. I did this for 3 years. I finally decided that enough was enough. I wasn't going to do this to her anymore, and I retired her. Then NRF2 came into my life. I started giving her the NRF2 product. Within a couple months, she starts getting better. I can notice it when I'm riding her. She's moving in ways she never would move before. Well, then I decide that maybe I might try to run her again. Well, when I was running her before, she was okay, but she wasn't winning. But she was okay. I decided to enter her. She was on it from November, December, January, February first week. The first week in February, I entered her. So 3 months full of NRF2. And she won it. She won the entire jackpot. So right away, people went, whoa, what did you do? And I was like, this is it. This is all I did. So do you think that's not going to sell people? My friends that know my horse, they trust me, right? They knew my horse, right? So that's a story and so important, and you're more than welcome to use my story. And you can go on Facebook or Instagram. People got stories all over the place. So number 2, so I built a brand. Number 1 was I built a brand. I got the interest going. And number 2 was I had an amazing story. Okay. Then I started to build the business. And number 3 is my business story. Okay. So the fact that, I hit Pro 5, I was working, counting Life Vantage, I was working 5 jobs before that. Okay. So 5 jobs altogether with Life Vantage. And now all I work is 1. So I got my business story. I was able to kind of start my business story around Pro 5 when I finally was like, I don't need all these other jobs. I'm going to go all in with Life Vantage. So really, when you think about my story and you think about maybe Julie's story or Melody's story or Rusty's story or Jesse's story, is it really a whole lot different? Other than the fact that mine was horses, it's not a whole lot different, right? So the biggest thing is don't overcomplicate it. Does that make sense? Okay. Cool. All right. I'm gonna let you open up some questions, because I think that would be best if people can just ask questions.
Yes, absolutely. I love it. I mean, it's so true. You know, we get so caught up in the details, right? And that was one of my favorite parts of the event, is when oh gosh, what was her name? Who talked about the storytelling at Long Beach? She did such a great job about that and really driving that point home. Like, we all have a story, and that's really what people want to hear, whether it's, you know, a dog story or a horse story or a I brought my husband home from work story. You know, it's so true. And so I just thought, you know, when you told me your story, because it's so different from a lot of our stories, it just really was like, wow. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can build this business. And I think I really loved when you shared with me, you know, I think a lot of people might have the question about how much do you give the horses? How do you know what to give them? And I think what you told me at the dinner table was, it really depends on the horse. There's not an exact, I think that the amount on the bottle might not be accurate. It's accurate for dogs, you said, but not so much for horses. And so if you want to touch on that a little bit, and then if anybody has a question, jump on in.
Yeah, so this is where things could get complicated, I guess. But the most part about it is you have to kind of know your horse. You have to know, like I've been around horses my entire life. I was riding before I could walk, kind of like my daughter, and I read horses. I know when they need a little bit more. I know when they maybe need a little bit less. It's something that I've learned over time. And you might think to yourself, well, they're okay, so there I go. I don't know anything about horses. But the person that's buying the NRF2 from you to use on your horse, they do. They do know their horse. They are very connected. I mean, I know this might sound crazy, but my horses are outside, of course. I'd love to have them in the house, but they're outside. But when there's a problem, I know. I get this sense that I need to go check. Something's wrong. And I'm usually, 95% of the time, something's wrong. They needed me. Mm-hmm. So horse owners and horses, they're very connected. So the dosage that I like to start to tell people is to start their horse on 2 a day till they're doing well, or at least for 30 days. Then bring them down to 1 a day and see how they do. This is where it's going to be up to the owner to watch their horse, to know their horse, to understand their horse. They're going to be able to tell if their horse is still doing good or if their horse is backed off a bit again. If they notice their horse is backed off a bit, then they're going to want to go up to 2 a day again. If they're good on 1, then they should be great on 1. I have all my horses on 1 except for when I'm competing. When I'm competing, I up them. I up them to 2. I like to give them, if I can, if they're on 2, 1 in the morning, 1 at night, because then their body gets activated twice in the day. Because that's what we're about. We're not about supplementing. We're about activating. So when you do 2 at one time, you're not going to get the same results as if you were to split that up, because then their bodies get activated twice in the day.
I have a question, Laura. Is it
Very
Loralei
cool.
or Loralei?
Yep, Loralei.
Loralei. It looks like Loralei, but it's Loralei.
Okay, I had a girlfriend in college. Her sister was Loralei. Same spelling, but just checking. So my question is, did you promote your business through social media? How did you tell your story? That's what I'm asking.
Yes, I built on social media. Yeah. And then I guess, a little bit more to that, I guess, but most of it was social media, but I did travel. I have NRF2 equine on my horse trailer. I have it, I built, this is my logo here. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I built, I did some on the table, but I built patches, or got patches made to wear on my shirts. And I've also started having other barrel racers, bronc riders, bull riders, whatever, who's using the product and wants to promote, they wear those patches as well. We actually have a girl, she's 13 years old. She made it to the Junior World Finals in Vegas. She'll be wearing the NRF2 patch on her shirt, so that's pretty cool. So a little bit of advertising, I guess, outside of social media. But for the most part, built a lot on there.
I have a question. Thank you. So NRF2 Equine, how do they know how to get a hold of you from there? You know?
Well, social media is kind of, they find me on there, social media.
Okay.
And then if someone's wearing my patch, you know, they're going to have my information too. So if someone comes up to that person and like, Carrie, if you were wearing my patch and someone said, hey, what's that? You'll be like, being that I sponsored you to wear my patch or whichever. Well, this is what it is. And you can get a hold of Loralei and she'll help you out kind of thing. Right. So.
Okay, another question. So on social media, did you do live videos and talk about it, or did you just touch people one-to-one, or what did you do?
My biggest thing was I never was the person to ever contact people out of the blue. So I just did lots of posting of testimonials. We do have to be careful about that now. So just, you know, if you're not sure what to post, just get with your upline, or if you need some help, I'm more than welcome to help too. Yeah, just lots of live videos, posting testimonies, before and after videos, things like that. I just posted them on Facebook. I posted them in some groups, and then people just come to me. They wanted more info kind of thing. That was how I built my business. I have actually just started. I'm a Pro 8, you guys, and I just started doing the whole message people thing. So lots of different ways to build, for sure.
I have a question, Loralei.
Yes. How are you, Christy?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Yeah. So as you know, I adopted my guy in January, and he's 29 now. And I have incredible before and afters. And I have, everyone's like, he's been at where he's boarded. He's been there for like 10 years. And all these people, they've noticed and they know what I'm doing, but nobody's taken that next step. It's like they don't take me seriously. So I'm just kind of curious about if anybody in your team has struggled with that and how to get over that.
Yeah, I mean, with people like that, I mean, sometimes I'm kind of one of those people that I will poke at them a little bit. Like if they're, it's tough. I mean, you don't want to pressure anybody into it, but just build a relationship with them, get really close with them in a relationship, like a friendship. Yeah. And then if they ever say to you, well, oh, geez, you know, Charlie, his feet keep cracking out, or Charlie just keeps missing that step. And, you know, you could give that little bit of a, well, you know.
Yeah, it's funny. I try not to mention it too often, but I see them spending hundreds and thousands of dollars on all these other things. And I'm just like, $50, you know? So it's tough. I was wondering about, like, we watched this video at the training that we had in Vancouver, and it was about, like, there's the crazy lone dancer, and then there's that second person that goes and joins them. And I was wondering if maybe I should sponsor that second person to have a second testimonial where people go, oh, this actually is a real thing. Right? And just,
I did a lot of that, a lot of sponsoring. And I mean, I'm not saying you should go in and break your wallet with it, but, you know, even just a bottle or two free to them is considered a sponsorship. And if they're using it, then they're gonna feel more obligated to talk, like to say, talk about it. If I sponsor somebody like that, I always ask that they mention it on Facebook every now and then. Like if they go to an event, if they're a barrel racer or a jump or whichever, I make sure that when they post I ask that if they post pictures of them at their event or a video, that they'll like hashtag NRF2 Equine.
Yeah,
That's
great.
really good.
I'm actually totally
about
happy
it.
to sponsor other horses because I love horses so much. And I know
Yes.
there's a lot of older horses at this place that are kind of retired, and and it just doesn't have to be that way. As my guy knocked 14 seconds off of his barrel time, right?
Wow.
We went from 36 to 22 and he's 29. Like, I love it. Anyways, okay, thank you so much.
Yes, you're welcome. Yeah. And Christy, sometimes you just gotta say, listen, I need you to have a look at this. I need you to just for a second, just sit down here. I really need you to have a look at this. Sometimes you gotta be like that person too. And usually when you kind of corner them like that, they're like, okay, sure. So.
Hi, Laura. I have a question, or really it's kind of to everybody. My granddaughter has a horse on Oahu. I live in Kona on the Big Island. And we have a room for you anytime you want to come. And they live very near Kawailoa Ranch. And my granddaughter's 12. And I don't know if you can see.
Yep.
And she got qualified this year to go to Kentucky. Her horse is activated for about a year now, and she's been activated 3 years. And first time in 16 years, someone from Hawaii qualified to go to Kentucky and compete in July. But she works at the ranch, and she is such a hard worker. And she's been to an event, my first event in Life Vantage 4 years ago. So she knows and believes in NRF too. But it's hard to build her own business because she's not young enough or old enough. And I told her once I qualify to have my second business center, somehow we could figure out it being hers, because she works for money on the ranch, and she's going to build Pro Tandem, but hasn't yet. And I think she's shy to bring it out to everybody. But having the NRF2 logo, NRF2, people are like, what is that?
Mm-hmm.
NRF2 equine. So, we're all real excited about it. She'll be watching this when she gets out of school. She might be out of school already. But anyway, we're real excited. And you are just so inspiring for your story and everything. I just thank you for sharing, because that is amazing. But, when you're under 18, I don't know what you can do in life, Anna. I guess there's nothing, but it would take some bookkeeping to keep her own clientele until she's of age.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know, you can maybe get with your upline a bit too. I know that eventually, you can sell your business to somebody too. So that might be something to get to your upline and talk about maybe as well.
Yeah.
So.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question too. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, I'm Angela. And
Hi, Angela. I
hi,
recognize
how are
you. I'm good. How are you?
Good. So, well, I have a little story about my one horse legacy. Her father was a multinational champion halter horse and in Western Pleasure, and her mother was a world champion halter horse. And so she was my next contender, but she got injured and she damaged her nerve root in her right hip. So to make long story short, she was 4 years later, she was compensating in the back. So it was her right rear and the left rear was giving out, and she was really ready to be put down, hanging her head, could barely walk. When she laid down, she couldn't get up, and I'd have to help her up. But super smart horse, loved this horse's heart, and put her on Pro Tandem just one a month because I really didn't know what to do. And a month later, I saw some slight improvement, and within 5 months, I had tremendous improvement. And she's done really, really well. She was on an exercise program. The vet even said I would probably be able to trail ride her at some point, but she's had a mini stroke. Moving to Tennessee did not bode well with her. but I've got her on 2. She's not spinning to the right anymore. Her vision is coming back on the left. And I mean, she's still like, she's eating, her head is up, she trots around, she seems, like she's not ready to go down, she seems like she's full of life. But anyway, I've got her on 2 a day, and she is doing better, but I'm wondering if I should do more.
Yeah, I mean, you can do more than 2 a day. It's kind of the same rule for people. I don't know if you guys have heard this rule, but I was told this rule back when I started, that you can really take, like, you could take the whole bottle if you wanted, but like four a day is pretty well all your body can process. So same, I put that rule into horses too. Like I've at times, if a horse was really bad, for example, we had a horse with, I guess I shouldn't really say the word, but the C word. And we upped him to 4 pills. So we did 2 in the morning, 2 at night. And that really, really helped him. So any horses that are, same as people, right? When they are in worse shape than the normal average person, we up that dosage. So yeah, you definitely can give them more, for sure.
Hey, Loralei, I have a question for you, a compliance question. So I know that this is something that, all of our teams are really focusing on right now to save mama, as you will, and to keep us afloat. Do you find, I know the FTC, it's mostly a human thing, but have you found that they're just coming down just as hard for the animal world as well? Is it like, I didn't really even think about that until this call of what you got to be careful with saying if if you're talking about animals.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's very much the same. If you mention, horses get diseases just like we do. So if you mention disease or any sort of thing, like if I were to mention navicular or cancer in my horse and then say NRF2 helped it, then yeah, it's non-compliant. So you do have to be very careful. When it comes to, like, some people will say, well, NRF2 is not a horse product. NRF2 is not.
Right.
We are protected with the only product we are protected with is NRF2, because NRF2 is proven safe and effective in all mammals. It's the only product that is proven safe and effective in all mammals, except for Pet Tandem, of course, but I don't think you want to chew on a Pet Tandem tablet. But so none of the other products they're only proven safe in humans. So that's one thing that protects us big with that. But still, you got to be very careful what you say. Don't mention disease. I've actually been not even mentioning anything really. Like, I don't even mention product name, company name. I've switched to biohack, activation, nutrigenomics. That's it.
Yeah, it's a little tricky, but yeah, we got to do what we got to do, right? You guys, one thing I love about this story and this call, and especially for a lot of us who are trying to learn the social media game, is Loralei really had her avatar. She knew exactly who she was going to take this product to. She knew her market, and that's really, I think, why she's had such tremendous success. I think a lot of us kind of tend to struggle of figuring out, okay, who are we on social media? Who is our people? And so I think one thing that I'm really getting from this call is people were listening to you because they knew that you were a horse racer. They knew that your horses were your life. Like you said, you would have them in your house if you could. Like, they're your everything. So what I love, and what I think my 2 cents could be to really help people who are trying to figure that out on social media, because I know that I'm also learning the social media game, is, if you're a dog person, go that route. If you're all about your kids and you've seen things happen and change with your kids with Axio or whatnot, and nerve 2 activation, like, go that route. So I really love that you've had such success just with horses, because I think there's something to be said about really finding the people that you want to target instead of just being so broad. just really going to a specific target so that you can really kind of hone in on that, and people are going to notice that. And that's kind of what I'm learning, is people aren't just like, oh, she's trying to sell, they're trying to sell this product to everybody. It's like, oh, this is something that she's really passionate about. And that's why I think people can really feel that.
Absolutely. And you can, then you don't get distracted, and you can educate yourself. I've educated myself around oxidative stress in horses. I'm not very educated with oxidative stress in people. I'm going to be honest. I'm not. So whatever it is your story is, find people that you can relate to.
Julie,
Awesome.
do we have time for one more question? I know we're at the bottom of the hour.
Yeah.
Two more
what time?
questions, please.
Okay, let's do 2 more questions. Go for it.
Yay! Okay, so hi. Thank you so much for thank you so much for being on the call today. And I have a woman that I work with, and she works at a horse ranch, and she works within that industry. And we had a question from a woman that deals with Kentucky Derby horses. And there was an organization that regulates what racing horses are allowed to take. And I contacted that organization. And because the NRF2 had, I think it was ashwagandha, they would not approve our product, even though it's such a minuscule amount. And so I was wondering if you face that, and how do you get around that? Like, how do you talk to people about that?
Yeah, we've actually done, and I can send these over to Julie. We've actually had some horses that we've done blood tests on. We've had them on either 2 a day or 4 a day. And what we found is the horses aren't, especially if they're only on one, we found that the horses aren't pulling up anything when they test them. And I think and I think it's because the ingredient is so like the ratio is so small, right?
Right.
But I always say that if there is something that is not allowed in an organization, it's never good for that person to risk being disqualified. So that's always up to them, whether they're going to keep their horse on it or not. We've had barrel racers, like, for instance, the American and Houston Rodeo and Calgary Stampede are zero tolerance of anything, which is like caffeine, which green tea is in our product. But we've had a horse compete at Calgary Stampede on the product that they tested that was on 2 a day and came back that she had nothing in her system.
Okay.
But what I say a rule of thumb is give them 3 days without it. So take them off for 3 days before the event, because it only takes 3 days for it to get out of their system.
Okay. All right. That's good information. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
Hey, really quick, Polly Grace, was that you that wanted to ask the last question?
I did.
I'm gonna let Rusty go ahead and end the recording, maybe, just to keep it. My watch is wrong, so if he wants to end the recording, we can just go ahead and answer a couple more questions if Loralei has time. But I don't want to cut anyone off. But I just want to keep it at the 30 minutes that we let everyone know that that's what the team is. That's what the call is about. So go ahead.
Okay, my question is going to be a short one. Thank you, Loralei. You gave me this great information and great ideas. Are there some videos you shared with people who are horse people? And which one are they?
I actually just did up I call it the equine presentation. Due to our compliance rules that have come out, I do have to go in and redo it. But once I redo it and get it up, I will definitely make sure you guys can get it. But honestly, the only videos I show are before and after videos. So I just get testimonies of horses that are dead lame and then share the videos of them after. I tried sharing the ABC Primetime Investigation Report when I first started, and I totally got people going, okay, so what does this have to do with my horse?
Right.
But I think if you direct it and teach them how the product works, then the ABC Primetime would be good because it explains what it's doing, right? So, yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yes, and the videos you're showing, the before and afters, those are your own videos, and
They're actually testimonials from other customers, and some of them can be found on YouTube. There's a few on there. I think if you search NRF2 Equine, you can find some. I'm pulling some off of my testimonial page right now. I've been working on that and getting them up there also. But mine were usually in a group, and then I just added them in there and then tagged them is what I did. So.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Everybody, well, thank you so much, Loralei, for being on the call. We really appreciate it. I have your number. I think I saw a couple questions. If people need third-party validation, if you could be available, if that's a possibility, if they get somebody that needs to hear a little bit more, that would be awesome. And we're just really grateful. And I just want to give you a huge, round of applause and just give you a big up for doing what you've been able to do in Canada. I know we all have, some teams up there, and it's not easy to build. You guys definitely, it's a little bit harder than for us here in the States. So I just, you're really inspiring of what you've been able to accomplish in such a short amount of time. So thank you so much for being on our call, and hopefully that was helpful for everybody, and we appreciate your time.